I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. President Obama visits Ground Zero. We'll have the latest. Plus, a Manhattan parish gets ready to celebrate Mary in the month of Mary.
It's an opportunity for us to demonstrate our faith in a public way, to show people that so Catholics can be united and be strong in their faith.
And a battle against bullying at St. John's University.
One of the things we know about aggression is that it tends to increase during tough economic times. And so this may be a really important time for us to reduce that aggression.
Well, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. President Barack Obama visited New York City today to remember the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. The president did not make any public statements during his visit to Lower Manhattan, but he did meet with first responders and families who lost loved ones on that tragic day. Obama also paid a visit to Ground Zero to lay a wreath in memory of those who died there nearly 10 years ago. Well, the president's visit comes just days after U.S. Special Forces killed al-Qaeda leader and 9/11 mastermind Osama bin Laden in a raid in Pakistan. But does bin Laden's death or the president's visit offer families of the victims any closure? Well, for more on that, I'm joined now by Ingrid Sunarine, the Director of Bereavement Services for Catholic Charities, Brooklyn and Queens. Ingrid, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Well, what's your reaction to that sort of concept of the death of Osama bin Laden or the president's visit, either one, offering any closure for the victims or their families?
I don't like to use that word closure. I look at it, there was so much unfinished business, unanswered questions. However, this symbolic act today, I believe, would help those who lost their loved ones to cope with the loss now, because they have something to put aside. Sure. You know, it's not a closure, but at least it's part of the process. So now we found the person who hurt my loved one, so now I can go on and really mourn for my loved one, sure. But with little less pain. Even though it's 10 years, it's like yesterday for all of us, and of course for those who lost their loved ones.
Sure. It's a process.
It's a process.
How does the process change, I guess, as you go along? I know obviously it's different. The mourning process, the grieving process is different now, almost 10 years later, than it was back when the event first happened.
Well, you know, that's an individual. Because everybody grieves differently. Even though it's 10 years, I work with people who have had losses 25 years that seem just like yesterday. Because there are times when there's so many layers to the loss that you don't get in tune with the actual grieving process of the person. However, as time goes by, this will make it a lot softer, a little gentler for them. Now they've put that to rest. They've found the person who really hurt my loved one.
Sure, and I'm sure it gets worse for a lot of people around holidays and things like that.
Absolutely. You know, they say time heals all wounds, but you have to do the grief work.
Sure.
And a lot of these people have not even found the bodies of their loved ones. So it opens up all wounds again.
Sure.
You know. However, I think it was wonderful that he was able to do that today, very somber, looking at it earlier. And it will, I think, in their hearts, and it was wonderful that he was able to speak with them as well. I think they were touched by that.
If people in the Diocese of Brooklyn have issues still to this day, and they're still struggling, what resources are there that are available for them?
We have over 40-something bereavement support groups throughout the parishes in Brooklyn and Queens. In addition, I run the Center for Support and Healing, which is located 55 Borum Place, downtown. And they're able to come to us. We have volunteers who assist. It's also for children as well as adults.
Sure.
So that's another. And I also do individual as well.
Okay.
And
great.
this is strictly on the bereavement part of it. We at Catholic Charities also have resources if there are other issues, you know, PTSD and the other parts of the loss,
Sure.
especially such a traumatic loss.
Right. So Catholic Charities, Brooklyn and Queens, the place to go.
The place to be. And you can
this.
call 718-722-6214. That is the bereavement support office. Sure. And I'll be able to refer them to a group near to them.
Wonderful.
You know?
All right. Well, Ingrid, thank you so much for being here to talk about this.
Well, you're quite welcome.
It's very important, and we thank you very
Okay.
much. Well, our own Natalia Ortiz went to Ground Zero today for the president's visit. She's now here in studio with more. Natalia.
Thanks, Matt. When President Obama laid a wreath at the site of the worst terrorist attack in the country's history, he marked a milestone in the war on terrorism, the death of the world's most notorious terrorist. But he also honored the victims of that fateful day. I was in Lower Manhattan earlier today, where I spoke with a firefighter who lost his son and a tourist who compared this tragedy to terrorism in her home country in Peru. Here is what they had to say.
Well, to the country, I'm sure to many people in the country it does, but I don't think it really does to the families that lost someone. I mean, I know it doesn't to me. I miss Brian every second of every day. I mean, he was the love of my life, and there's no such thing in closure.
From my point of view, I think he should send a message to the world and tell them, hey, look what we're doing. We're rebuilding, we're growing stronger, and we're leaving terrorism. We're fighting terrorism, and we're going to put 9/11 not behind, because you can't forget the memories, and there's a lot of people that die, but we're trying to move on.
Me trajo a mí a la memoria muchos recuerdos de mi infancia en un país donde yo crecí con mucho terrorismo, el Sendero Luminoso en el Perú. Entonces, para mí fue revivir muchos de esos momentos terribles que vivió mi país, en un país donde no se soñaba que podía haber ese tipo de impacto, ¿no? Entonces, realmente fue muy duro volverlo a ver a través de los ojos de tantos americanos.
Matt, back to you.
All right, Natalia, thanks. When Currents returns, Pakistani church leaders call for more security following bin Laden's death. That story and the rest of the day's headlines next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later, searching for solutions to the problem of bullying. But first, let's have a look at the day's headlines. Church leaders in Pakistan are asking the government to increase security for faith communities after the death of Osama bin Laden. A Catholic priest who chairs an interdenominational group says he could not visit people's homes earlier this week. He tells the website UCA News that activities at his parish have been limited since bin Laden's death. The parish is located not far from where U.S. troops shot and killed the al-Qaeda leader. The imam behind the proposed Islamic center near Ground Zero says bin Laden's death is a hopeful milestone. Writing on the Huffington Post, Faisal Abdul Rauf says 9/11 created, quote, a wound that aggravated the divide between the Muslim world and the West. Rauf echoed the words of President Obama, saying bin Laden did not represent Islam. He says he hopes the death of the al-Qaeda leader will bring to a close the chapter of terrorism. Well, meanwhile, an American bishop says Catholics are sensitive to the situations Muslims in this country face. Auxiliary Bishop Dennis Madden of Baltimore says that because of past and present experience as immigrants, Catholics understand the intense scrutiny Muslims face. Madden's remarks came last month during an interfaith meeting. That gathering was part of ongoing dialogue sponsored by the Bishops' Conference and the Islamic Circle of North America. Well, there may be questions about whether to celebrate his death, but a majority of Americans say they have no doubt about Osama bin Laden's fate. According to a CNN poll, 61% of Americans believe bin Laden is in hell. 10%, meanwhile, say bin Laden is not in hell, and close to a quarter of those polled say they're unsure. The poll was conducted on Monday, one day after President Obama announced the al-Qaeda leader's death. In Washington, House Republicans voted overwhelmingly in favor of a bill that would ban taxpayer funding of abortion. The legislation passed by a vote of 271 to 175, with 16 Democrats joining with Republicans to support the legislation. Now, although the Hyde Amendment already prevents federal money from being used to pay for abortions, Congress must vote on that law each year. The new measure would make provisions of the Hyde Amendment permanent. The Senate is not expected to take up that bill. Well, from Canada, a former bishop who pleaded guilty to possessing child pornography will face discipline from the Vatican. Bishop Raymond LaHaye entered his guilty plea on yesterday. He was arrested back in 2009 after police discovered close to 600 images of child pornography on his laptop computer. The Vatican says it will follow church procedures and take appropriate disciplinary action. In a statement, the Holy See also condemned all sexual exploitation, especially when perpetrated against minors. Well, former President Bill Clinton is the latest person to voice his support for same-sex marriage in New York. In a statement released by the Human Rights Campaign, the former president says marriage equality should be extended to same-sex couples. This comes as Governor Andrew Cuomo announced he'd travel across the state to rally support for same-sex marriage, along with ethics reform and a cap on property taxes. Well, a suspect in a deadly shooting in Massachusetts has turned himself in with the help of a Protestant pastor here in Brooklyn. The suspect, Trevin Smith, had fled to Brooklyn, to hide out with his family before hearing about a special program called the Brooklyn Clergy NYPD Task Force. Now, Smith met up with Gerald Seabrooks. He's the pastor of Rehoboth Cathedral, who helped the suspect turn himself in. Smith was wanted in connection with a deadly shooting at a barber shop in Massachusetts. He says, though, that he is innocent. And there are a lot of people, who say the world is going to end in 2012, but groups of Americans think it will happen even sooner. This month, in fact. Reporter Chris Hawks has that story.
They've been appearing since last year in cities across the country. Many say save the date, others Judgment Day. They're bought and posted by about a half dozen loosely affiliated groups who all share one belief: the world ends May 21st. Many direct you to websites. Allison Warden, a 29-year-old payroll clerk in North Carolina, responded to the message we sent to one of them. Warden says her family's bought some of the billboards. They offer free downloadable graphics to anyone who wants to do the same. She estimates there are more than 530 of them across the country, put up by different groups.
This has been going around for the last 2,000 years.
Project Caravans erected some of them, crisscrossing the country in 5 recreational vehicles. Pastor Mike Ramsdale knows all about them. He pastors First United Methodist Church of Mansfield.
Well, Jesus, for one thing, he said that no one knows the time or the hour but God. So anyone that says they know the time and the hour, they're not doing what Jesus said. He also said there'll be people coming along who are going to say, this is the time of the hour. He says, don't listen to them.
There you go. Stay tuned. There's much more current straight ahead. When we return, we'll preview a multicultural celebration of Mary set for this weekend.
And show how Our Lady has communicated herself as a mother to all these different countries. We want to show the unity of all the countries.
Welcome back. Well, Mother's Day is right around the corner. Hint, hint. It's this Sunday, as a matter of fact, so there is still a little bit of time to get a gift for your mom if you haven't already done so. But in an event happening this coming Saturday, it's all about another mother, one mother in particular, actually, Mary. And the timing could not be any better, as May is the month of Mary. The event, called One World, One Mother, will highlight devotion to Mary from across the globe. And what better location to have it than the place known as the crossroads of the world, Times Square. Earlier today, I had the chance to hear more about it. This event is called One World, One Mother, as I said. And I sat down with a priest who's organizing it, as a matter of fact. His name is Father Thomas Vendetti. Father Thomas, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for that, man.
Tell us a little bit about the event that's coming up on Saturday. Of course, it's called One World, One Mother. Tell our viewers a little about it.
That's right. We're going to have a Mass at Holy Innocents Church, which is on 37th and Broadway, just south of Times Square, with Archbishop Chulikat, who is the permanent observer of the Holy See to the UN. And he's going to celebrate Mass at 4, which is the Saturday evening Mass at Holy Innocents. And then after the Mass, we're going to have a procession with images of Our Lady from 54 countries around the world. Sure. So we thought it would be appropriate to have Archbishop Chulikat representing the UN there and the Holy See to preside over the procession. And so we're going to have 54 banners of Our Lady from 54 different countries, and we're going to process out of the church and pray the rosary and sing songs all the way up through Times Square and back to the church. Wow. We hope to make a brief stop in Times Square to say a decade of the rosary there and sing Hail Holy Queen.
Wow, that's going to be amazing. I mean, right in the middle of Times Square in Saturday afternoon, and that's a busy time.
That's
so
right, yeah.
There'll be a big audience to witness all of that. Well, and I guess of course that's probably kind of the point of this. One of the points of this is to let people sort of see the devotion to Mary in the Catholic Church and Catholic faith. What are kind of the main points that you want people to sort of get out of this event?
Well, I'd say first of all, it's called One World, One Mother. And so we're experiencing a globalization on the material level, but I think we need that kind of a spiritual globalization as well, to recognize that we're not united just in the dollar or the euro, but we're also united in God. We're united in God, and God has given us His mother as a spiritual mother. We're all one family. We all have one mother, and I think it's important for us to recognize that and to be united on a spiritual level. Then, of course, it's an opportunity for us to demonstrate our faith in a public way, to show people that so Catholics can be united and be strong in their faith and make that public demonstration of it.
That's great. Tell me a little bit more about the procession there of the International Madonnas. Now, you said that there were going to be 50-plus images of Mary?
Yeah. They are images taken from the Basilica of the Annunciation in Nazareth. Okay, and with permission of the authorities there, we've reproduced the images into banners. And so each country has given an image that represents their country. It could be an apparition or just an image that the country has. And it's been, it's there at the Basilica in Nazareth, and we've taken those images, and that's what we're going to use to process through. So be very multicultural and show how Our Lady has communicated herself as a mother to all these different countries. We want to show the unity of all the countries in our Blessed Mother.
Nice. Well, of course, May is the month of Mary.
That's right.
And I assume that's no small coincidence that you're doing this in the month of May.
That's right.
What is, I guess, and I guess maybe this is something that you can't really gauge just yet, because I know that this is going to be the first annual, you guys want to do this again.
That's right.
What's kind of the response to this been as you've been kind of getting the word out about it?
Well, it's been very positive. We have the website, so anybody can log on to oneworldonemother.com. You can register there. And we've pretty much gotten all the volunteers to carry all the banners, and we suspect that those people will invite others along with them. So 54, say by 10 or so, we should have at least 500 to 1,000 people present, hopefully. So
sure.
We fill up the Church of Holy Innocents, and we make a good demonstration as we're walking through Times Square.
That'll be nice. It'll be, you'll have crowds that rival the big theaters.
Yeah.
that'll be very nice. Well, of course, you mentioned the website, and people can go there for more information.
That's
Any
right.
other contact information you'd like to share for how people can get involved?
You can find everything there on the website, sure. And you can also send a message if you're interested in carrying one of the banners. There's still a couple countries open. You can send a message to info@oneworldonemother.com to volunteer to carry a banner. And there's also other things on the website. You can put on some intentions there that you want to have prayed for during the day, and you could offer Hail Marys there. However many Hail Marys you want to pray for other people's intentions, and you can learn about the Rosary, about the different. You can see all the images of Our Lady there. Yeah. So
I saw the guide to praying the Rosary that was on the website as well. A very handy, helpful little tool for people.
That's right.
So there's a lot of stuff there, so folks can go check that out. Well, Father Thomas, thanks so much. Our time has come and gone, but we appreciate it very much.
Thanks a lot, man. Okay, God bless.
And we will be at One World, One Mother this coming Saturday. We'll have a full report next week. Stay tuned, there's much more currents ahead. Coming up, bullying and its consequences. A local university looks at ways to end the intimidation.
We're concerned with the moral development of children. We don't want children who are just safe. We want children who are responsible contributors to today's world.
Finally tonight, bullying is back in the headlines. This time, it's the case of 15-year-old Phoebe Prince, a Massachusetts girl who hanged herself in January of last year after being bullied for months by classmates at her high school. 5 of the 6 teenagers charged in the case have accepted plea deals after they admitted to bullying Prince, including making slurs about her Irish ancestry. Prince came to this country from Ireland back in 2009. Well, the bullies received 1-year probation, and they will have to perform community service. As part of the ongoing efforts around the country to look for ways to respond to what's become really a disturbing trend, all this bullying that's been going on, St. John's University hosted a conference called Bullying and Its Consequences in Search of Solutions.
This is a critical value in our home, in our family, in our community, that everyone needs to be treated with respect and as a valued human being. Parents aren't having these conversations with their kids.
Today at St. John's, we're hosting this conference on bullying and its consequences, and we think this is a really important thing for our students and the professional community here in New York City. One of the things we know about aggression is that it tends to increase during tough economic times, and so this may be a really important time for us to reduce that aggression.
As faith-based institutions, I think we're concerned, both St. John's and Yeshiva University where I work, we're concerned with the moral development of children. We don't want children who are just safe. We want children who are responsible contributors to today's world.
What we've shown in the last 10 years is a shift and an increasing in the amount of what we would call homophobic teasing, so the using of what we would call homophobic epithets. In addition to this, certain groups, subgroups of individuals are at risk for bullying.
We are getting so many reports in Chicago Public Schools of what is essentially are hate crimes against Arabs and other groups in Chicago Public Schools. No bullying prevention program addresses that.
So increasingly we're finding that kids are leaving notes in lockers, insinuating that some kids, because of their religion or their background, are terrorists. So we have to recognize that as society is shifting, so is the kind of climate within our schools, and kids are engaging in more than what we call garden variety bullying.
When I was in elementary school, I was bullied, and I wished that the teachers, they didn't take it, I wouldn't say that they took it as a joke, but they took it way too lightly. Like, they didn't see it as a major problem, especially at younger ages. When bullying is occurring, they'll think that it's just joking around.
It's becoming much more pervasive in our society. We heard the many questions parents, children, school administrators, teachers were asking about what to do with this. Hopefully what we can expect is that more research will take place. It's more of an active dialogue that can take place.
We made this mural. It's the students' voices of what they wish school was like. Kids want to be in a safe, fair environment, and that was the thing I asked them when I interviewed everybody is, well, how do you want to be treated? How do you want to feel in school? And everybody wants to feel safe.
I would just say to the bully to stop, and I would tell a teacher even if the bully was hiding. I mean, it still would be hard because I would be scared the bully would do something to me.
The first misconception people have is it doesn't happen here. Bullying comes out of a lack of empathy and aggression, and we need to address both decreasing aggression and building empathy in our children.
It's amazing that point that she made there, the denial, I guess, of it happening. Here, it can't happen here, it can't happen here. Well, I think the more we talk about a problem like this, the more it comes to the forefront of our minds, and we realize, yeah, it can happen here, and we can do something to actually put an end to it. So kudos to them. Well, that is it for this edition of Currents. Now, coming up tomorrow, the royal wedding, the beatification of John Paul II, and the death of Osama bin Laden. We'll have a look back at the week that was. Until then, be sure to check us out online over at currentsny.net. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. And if you have a question, comment, or story idea, send us an email. The address is dropusaline, that's all one word, at currentsny.net. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.